Hello and welcome back to Makeshift Minis. Today I wanted to make something relatively simple, so I'm going to be building beetles. Large bugs are common enemies for low-level characters, and I thought I'd have some fun. I still have a lot of plastic nails left, so I'm going to be using them to make most of the beetles. The general size and shape of a nail is perfect for a beetle's carapace. Using plastic snips, I cut up the nail to make various parts of the shell, like the wing casing. After I trim each piece, I use a sanding stick to smooth everything out. I use my tweezers to hold the pieces while I glue together the shell of the first beetle. Using plastic that I soaked in acetone, I fill out the beetle's shell. This adds volume to the otherwise flat beetle, as well as makes it easier to attach the head. While the plastic is still soft, I embed wires for the legs and antenna. After prepping more nails the same way I did the first beetle, I start working on the next one. I found it tedious to stick bits of wire in plastic, so to make the legs, I glued down the wire directly to the shell. Once all the wires are in place, I glue the shell pieces together to make the stag beetle. To fill out the stag beetle and bulk up the legs, I used more plastic that I soaked in acetone. Instead of using styrofoam that I had lying around, I used scraps that I cut off from the plastic nails. Apparently, the dyes in the plastic can color the acetone. Who knew? The third bug's going to be based off a Hercules beetle. The most recognizable feature of a Hercules beetle is its horn. So after I shape all the parts for the shell, I glue down an armature wire for the horn. With the horn in place, I use more wire to make an armature for the leg. While it's not particularly complicated, it is tricky not to glue my fingers to the cutting board. Again. Like my other beetles, I assemble the carapace and glue all the shell pieces together. My homemade activator really does help quicken the process. With all three beetles finished, I glued them to the bases. It's a little trickier to glue the Stag and Hercules beetles since I can't just glue the main body to the base and I have to glue each individual leg. After priming the stag beetle in a rather gruesome red, I give it a black base coat. I'm not going to be doing anything complicated, but it's always good to have a nice foundation. Once the base coat dries, I try using a color shift paint to replicate the beetle's opalescent shell, though the effect isn't as intense as I hoped. After the color shift dries, I give the beetle's shell and horn a dark green glaze. Multiple coats would have gotten a stronger color, but I was hoping that the color shift would show through. My original beetle's base coat goes pretty quickly, since unlike the other two, it doesn't have any large horns, mandibles, or legs to really get in the way. After the base coat dries, I give the color shift another go. I'll get this working eventually. I give the beetle a brown glaze, though now it looks unfortunately like a roach. With the finish line in sight, I paint the base coat of my last beetle. The color shift may not be as opalescent as I hoped, but it certainly has a nice glossy finish. After the previous layer dries, I paint on a dark red glaze. The color is on point as it's almost the same color as some of the local stag beetles. With the rest of the painting finished, I paint the bases of all the beetles black. With the last beetle done, it's on to the glamour shots. This was a nice change of pace from the complexity of some of my more recent projects. The beetles look pretty good and they only take about 10 minutes to make. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Take care, be well, and until next time.